So, good evening, everyone. I have Abdurrahim and Joshua.
Good evening, sir.
From here. How is the sound?
Clear.
Okay. So let me switch on. Joshua, are you online? Joshua, are you online? Kindly respond. So I guess Joshua is not close by. Abdurrahim, can you see my screen? Please, can you confirm?
Yes, I can see the screen.
How good is it?
It's clear.
All right, thank you very much. So I will begin in the name of God, the Almighty, the Beneficial, the Merciful, who has been giving us the opportunity to meet off our time and to see this lecture every week. We thank him, and I thank you for coming. So today we'll be looking at another chapter or another study session, which is titled Participatory Design. Now, in the previous lecture, we had a thorough discussion about the evaluation techniques. And today we'll be looking at participatory design, where we'll be looking at some of the headings that you see here. Now, the outcome of this session, after studying the session, is that each and every one of us is expected to know the meaning of user-centered design, distributed participatory design, and ethnography, then describe the characteristics of participatory design, PD for short, and then understand hybridism and the third space concept. And number 4, explain the diversity of participatory design techniques operating in third space. And lastly, appreciate the unresolved issues in participatory design. So today's lecture is going to be about participatory design. And looking at the introduction, we can see that participatory design is an approach that actively involves end users in the design process to ensure that the final product has met its requirement as well as usability needs. So from the word participation, we should be able to understand that at this stage, design needs to involve the active users of the system in order to make sure that whatever it is that we design has actually met the requirements of the users as well as usability as well as developers throughout the design process, and from problem definition to solution evaluation. So it promotes shared understanding and ownership. We can also say that participatory design can also be viewed alongside empathic design, where designers immerse themselves in the user's environment. Both approaches emphasize collaboration between users and developers. So this is what today's lecture is going to be all about. We're trying to study the relationship between developers as well as end users who are actively participating in the design process. This is what we are going to look into today. So let's go into the main event and discuss the major concepts of participatory design. Now, we are going to start with the first concept, which is user design versus user-centered designs. Now, these are two different types of designs that are affected by participatory design. So we're going to look at them one by one, starting with the first one, which is the user design. So when we talk about user design versus user-centered design, we can say that user-centered designs involve users who are consulted, but in this case, the users do not get to give the final decision. So in a situation where we apply a user-centered design, users are only consulted in this case, but their advice may not necessarily be useful in the design. They may be consulted. Now, somebody may be asked, what do you think about Facebook as a system? What do you think about the messenger of Facebook? Somebody may say, I totally do not like messenger, so remove it. But does that mean we should remove it? No. That simply means that we are asking for opinions that matter, not opinions that defy our objectives. Now we also have the user design, which involves users that are empowered with the tools and users who actively participate in the decision making. Now, I'll give you an example with myself. There is a social media platform under development at the moment. We call it the Synth app. I'm very sure you must have come across Synth, and maybe even if you haven't used the application, you may have come across their advert or something related to Synth. Now, I'm a type of user designer or user design participant who, if I say add something, if it is reasonable, they add. If it is not, they discard. But in most cases, they add. So this is an example of a user designer. A user designer has the say to the final end product, but user-centered design does not have the final say. Now let's look at ethnography as participatory design. Now in ethnography, we say that ethnography designers be developed, and then it will be given to the user to use, so that a designer or a researcher would actually sit and observe how the users engage with the system. So this is ethnography, whereby designers study users in their work environment to understand what needs to be changed about the system. The idea of participatory design in the software development phase, where users become part of the design team. As you go on with the design, you introduce the users so that the users can work alongside the designers. And both approaches are considered because they value the input of the user as well as promote ownership of the system. Now, another thing with participatory design in software development is that it focuses on a broad range of users, not just representatives. So it's not that we are bringing users who have influence or users who are part of the executive or governing body of the system or of the company. We are actually randomly choosing people who really matter in the system development phase. And secondly, it encourages continuous collaboration throughout the development phase because from beginning to end, users are participating and their inputs are taken seriously. And then lastly, uh, it is considered to be widely used in modern design practices. That is one thing about participatory design in software development. Now, another aspect of design is called the distributed participatory design. Now, distributed participatory design is a design approach and philosophy that supports the direct participation of users and other stakeholders in the system interaction analysis and design work. I will read this again. Distributed participatory design is a design approach and philosophy that supports the direct participation of users and other stakeholders in the system interaction analysis and design. Now, what this means is that uh, it supports collaboration among geographically distributed teams, meaning that even people who are not geographically available can actually be involved in the system development phase. I'm very sure some of you are aware that there is a particular platform called GitHub. Now, GitHub is very friendly for software developers. It allows them to work distributedly across the world. Anybody with access to the account can actually log into the GitHub profile, add their input, remove their input, or do whatever they like as far as they have the privilege. And eventually, uh, we have a system. And secondly, it enhances communication and shared understanding because people tend to share ideas in real time and they tend to participate with each other without any boundaries. And lastly, it encourages hands-on participation across stakeholders. So that is one thing about distributed participatory design. It allows for this aspect of distance participation. Now, there's an issue involving ethics in participatory design. When we talk about this issue of ethics, it is based on socio-technical principles of what we call Mumford. Now, it states that system development is about managing changes and that non-participants are more likely to be dissatisfied. So this is basically a, a principle that is devised by a personality called Mumford, who believes that system development is about managing change and that non-participants are more likely to be dissatisfied. And there are three levels of participation. We have the consultative, representative, and consensus. Consultatives are basically experts uh, in a particular area, while representatives are users who are representing a particular unit or department or aspect within the system. And then consensus are people chosen based on selection criteria in order for them to have an unbiased contribution to the system. So as we can say that level of participation here is divided into three: consultative, representative, and consensus. Now, the next thing is to look at the characteristics of participatory design. Let me sip water, please. So, the characteristics of participatory design. Participatory design is context and work-oriented rather than system-oriented, and it is collaborative and iterative. So when we say that participatory design is collaborative, iterative, and context-oriented, it means that this is something that has to do with a large number of people sharing ideas, working under the same roof, and these people engage in a continuous process of a loop. When I say a loop, it means that they work until they get it done. And a particular problem is being iterated again and again until it solves the problem. So this is something about uh, participatory design. Now, there are key practices involved in participatory design. Number one is site selection. That is where the work needs to be done. Number two, there is a workshop, a place where technical work is being executed. We have storytelling. It involves a technique where somebody narrates their specifications or their requirements, and this narrations are converted into codes or perhaps into system. We also have a game for analysis and design. Sometimes we use gaming system for analysis and design. This is not very common here, but there are problems that we solve by playing games. And through playing of games, we're able to solve the problems. Another one is through prototyping. We mentioned prototypes many times, and we say that prototypes are the subset of a system, or let me say, system have done that describes how the original system is going to act. We also have brainstorming, which involves constantly going through the ideas and then coming up with some very interesting solutions. Now, next is that participatory design, as we can see, is a set of theories, practices, and studies related to end users as full participants in activities leading to software and hardware computer products and computer-based activities. So there are a lot of disciplines involved. Software engineering is there, psychology is there, sociology is there, anthropology is there, design is also there. So there are a lot of fields involved in this. Now, let's move to the next concept, which is the next hybridity and the third concepts of participatory design. Now, this is concerned with participatory method that occur in the hybrid space between software professionals and end users. Now, what does this mean? First of all, we need to understand the third space, what the third space is talking about. Now, the third space is a shared environment where users and designers collaborate. So this space could be any kind of space. We can call it a hybrid space, and we can call it a third space. But we should know that it is an environment that enables multiple collaboration as well as multiple participation. Now, it has key features. Number one is that it exists between users and developers within the same domain, and it encourages knowledge sharing as well as mutual learning, and it promotes dialogue, negotiation, and reinterpretation. Now, some of its benefits include emergence of new ideas from collaborators, as well as reduced emphasis on authority. People are allowed to speak freely, and users are allowed to share their thoughts without having to fear any order or anybody. And of course, there is an increased focus on collective problem solving. So these are some of the benefits. Now, let's look at participatory design in human computer interaction software development. Now, when talking about participatory design in this context, we say that participatory design desires to bridge the gap between two spaces, the world of the software professional and the world of the end users. So this is all trying to tell us that participatory design is taking design into the next level, where users and professionals work together in order to achieve a very important task. So remember, participatory design bridges the gap between two worlds, the worlds of the users as well as the world of the developers. Now, traditional human-computer interaction methods are usually one-directional. When we say one-directional, it means they solve their problem in one way. But when talking about participatory design, it emphasizes on two-way communication. And when I say two-way communication, I mean we listen to the developers, then we listen to the users. And there's also an emphasis on mutual learning, where everybody mutually agrees to a particular suggestion or to a particular solution. There's also a shared decision making, a decision where everybody participates and everybody accept a decision. So it's not that people are being pressurized to support one thing or another. So let's move to the next aspect, which is negotiation, shared construction, and collective discovery in participatory design and human-computer interaction. Now, this describes a diversity of participatory design techniques, methods, and practices that provide hybrid experiences or that operate in intermediate third space in human-computer interaction. Because of the theme is hybridism, these descriptions are organized in terms, strategies, and moves that introduce novelty, ambiguity, and renewed awareness of possibilities occurring at the margins of existing fields or disciplines. A storytelling method provides a space in which we can negotiate the naming and defining of workplace activities. So, what negotiation, shared construction, and collective discovery is talking about is that participatory design and collaboration through various techniques, which is site selection. You will notice that one of the simple parameters that can be manipulated to influence hybridism is the size of the work. And there are two approaches to participatory design. Number one, the designer workplace, and two, the one that brings the worker to the design room at the site different from the workplace. So the selection of the site can be important in a discussion of participatory architectural process. Now, what this is trying to say is that there are two approaches when talking about site selection. And site selection, in essence, means that particular environment where system is being developed. So there are approaches. And the first approach is that designers go to the workplace, and two, users come to designers' environment. So we have to choose a place that is both suitable as well as friendly to the users. Now, what is the benefit? The benefit of this is that there is better understanding of user context. There's also increased ownership and participation. There's also an exposure to new perspectives or new ideas or anyone. Now, next is workshop. Now, workshop is another participatory design uh, uh, technique, or select, or let me say, is another participatory design that collaborates through, as we say, it collaborates through various techniques. So another example or another technique that we apply is through workshops. Now, workshops may serve as another alternative to other site selections, and workshops are usually held to help diverse parties, that is, interested parties or stakeholders, communicate and commit to a shared goal, strategies, and outcome. So, why do we conduct workshops? We conduct workshops in order to bring stakeholders together so as to share ideas, develop solutions, and build consensus. This is the reason why we bring them together. Now, what is the benefit of that? The benefit of that we'll move to the next concept, which is narrative structure, or sometimes we call it narrative structure, but the correct English is narrative structure. Now, narrative structure um, involves a scenario where end users uh, dictate system requirements through a storytelling technique. Now, stories and storytelling, according to the note, have played a major role in ethnographic work since before there was a field called human-computer interaction. And stories have also had important history in the field. And stories in participatory work may function in at least three ways. Number one, they may be used as triggers for conversation, analysis, and feedback. Two, they may be told by end users as part of their contribution to the knowledge required for understanding products. And three, they may be used by design team to present their concept of what a design service or product will do and how it will be used and what changes occur as a result. So when talking about this story telling methods, it includes written stories, actually. It includes written stories. Number two, it includes what we call storyboard. Now, storyboard allows you to write stories using cards, not necessarily a board, but using cards in order to create a pictorial presentation of your story. There's also another technique of storytelling, which is through photography, and that includes drawing, design, graphics, and so on and so forth. I'm looking for something. Okay. Now we also have dramas and videos. Through drama and videos, sometimes we can tell stories in the form of theater or of video. Okay. And now, what are their benefits? The benefits are that they enrich the communication process, they improve empathy, and they improve shared perspective. So this is what they do. Now, let's talk about games. Now, games are usually used to encourage participation. They play games or as they play games. Now, that entertainment process sometimes tends to create room for mass participation as well as encourage the participation itself. Somebody may be bored and they may not be interested in solving a particular problem. But knowing that game has been selected as the method of participatory design, they participate unknowingly. So it improves communication and it reduces autocracy as well as what do you call this word? Bureaucracy, autocracy and bureaucracy. Yes. So this is one thing about game theory. Okay. What else? Now, I think the next thing we'll be looking at is construction. Now, what is construction? Construction in the context of human-computer interaction is somehow synonymous to prototyping, or we call it prototype. Now, in this section, we consider hybridism in participatory activities such as site selection, workshop stories, photography, dramas, and games. But this section continues to survey of participatory practice that bring users and software professionals into unfamiliar and ambiguous third space setting. Collaborative construction of various concrete artifacts comprising of the following. Number one, low-tech prototype for analysis and design, cooperative prototyping. So these are the major two prototypes we'll be talking about. So what this is trying to say is that since the beginning of this chapter, we have been discussing about hybridism in participatory activity, and hybridism means hybridizing two or more techniques in solving a particular problem. So hybridism in this case means that when I use three tools to solve a problem, I'm actually hybridizing them. So in this context, we're hybridizing site selection, workshop, storytelling, photography, dramas, and games in order to solve a uh, particular participatory design problem. So when talking about construction, we say that construction is all about designing a prototype that represents the idea that we have in mind or the idea that we intend to create. And we say that collaborative construction of various concrete artifacts comprises of number one, low-tech prototyping. Now let's start with the low-tech prototyping. Low-tech prototypes may lead to a third space experience because they bring people into new relationship with technology. Relationships that are new in at least two important ways. First, the end user are often being asked to think about technologies or applications that they have not previously experienced. And secondly, in participatory work with low-tech prototypes, end users are being asked to use the low-tech materials to reshape the technologies. That is a design by doing approach. So in this way, participatory work with low prototype involves much more users' contribution and user initiative than the more conventional use of paper prototypes as surrogates for working system in usability testing. So low-tech prototyping means involving low-tech um, low-tech prototypes or prototypes that are designed using locally made items. For example, the use of paper or cardboards to represent a particular prototype. So this is one thing. And also, given the opportunity encourages users for creativity, and then it supports what they call uh, design by doing. Okay, design by doing approach. So what this is talking about is that users are actually given the autonomy to use low-tech materials to reshape the technologies that they inspire to produce. Now, let's look at the next one, which is the cooperative prototype. Now, the cooperative prototype is concerned with software prototyping. And when we say software prototyping, it means using software or advanced tools to produce whatever it is that we want to represent. Now, the potential of cooperative prototyping in several projects using different technology infrastructure led to enhanced communication with end users, improved incorporation of end user insights into the prototypes, and stronger collective ownership and collective actions claimed by the team. So, what is this trying to say is that cooperative prototyping uh, allows for iterative development with user feedback, which improves system design through continuous refinement, meaning that the process or the system or whatever it is in design, maybe it is a software or maybe it is a hardware, it means that there is an iterative development process that involves continuous refinement, meaning that ideas can be changed again and again and again and again until something is gotten correctly. And we say it is cooperative prototyping because it uses a high level of tech and the benefits are way more than those of low tech prototypes. Brainstorming. I believe the word brainstorming is not a common word. I mean, it's not a strange word to all of you. I'm very sure you must have come across the word once or twice in your life. When we talk about brainstorming, we are talking about a goal that creates a synergy within the members of a group where ideas uh, are being spread or where ideas are sparked so that participants can engage in an effective brainstorming process, uh, finding ideas, um, aggregating of individuals that could produce the same number of ideas as a group. So when we talk about brainstorming, there are key principles involved in brainstorming. So number one is that there is a focus on quantity, not quality. There is a focus on quantity, not quality, meaning that brainstorming cares more about the number of people that engage in the brainstorming process. Another principle is that mostly no criticism is accepted during idea generation. When ideas are being generated, people are not critical of the idea. Everybody's idea is spread across. We put down everything in writing and then we choose the best idea. And sometimes it encourages as well as enforce participation, even when people are not interested in participating. So this is one thing about brainstorming. So it is an important group building exercise for participatory design, and designers may brainstorm ideas by themselves. So this is what brainstorming is about. and how it helped in developing good and effective systems. Now, one thing about brainstorming session is that it has two phases. The first phase for generating ideas and the second phase for reflecting on the ideas. Like I said, we put down the ideas in writing and then we deliberate on the ideas until the best idea is selected. Now, I think this is the last topic to discuss, and this is about unsolved issues in participatory design, meaning issues that are yet to be addressed in participatory design. Now, there is the first one, which is difficulty involving unorganized or marginalized groups. Now, when we are talking about unorganized or marginalized group, we are talking about an example of a setting like Nigeria. Nigeria is a marginalized society in the sense that there are a lot of diversities in Nigeria that tend to create a demarcation between Nigerians. Anything that involves national unity, Nigerians are separated, Nigerians are distributed, Nigerians are unorganized over anything to do with national unity, because the Hausas would want to say that they have the highest population, the Yorubas will say that they have the more educated people, Igbos will say that they have more money than everybody, and then everybody will come to, bring up their differences. So one problem that is yet to be many marginalized groups, it becomes very difficult to have a good interaction session. Now we have the idea of evaluation and metrics. Now, in terms of evaluation and metrics, there is lack of formal method to measure success. How do we measure success in participatory design? There's a limitation to that. And number two, there is a limited comparative studies with non-participatory approaches, meaning not many have done research in the area of evaluation and metrics. So even if we conduct a participatory design, it is difficult to evaluate or to measure the success in terms of comparative studies. So this is what these are some of the unsolved issues. So all in all, in summary, I think we we believe that participatory design is a collaborative approach that involves users directly in system development, and it emphasizes on the idea of shared knowledge, mutual learning, as well as collective decision making through techniques like workshops, storytelling, games, prototyping approach, participatory design, usability, and satisfaction. So these are what we have discussed so far. And with this, we come to the end of the discussion. I will now open the floor for questions, if there are any. If there are not, then we'll call it a day. I also want you to know that we are going in the right direction. We have not missed a single lecture. Perhaps we missed, but according to the notes, we have not, because there are days when we studied two chapters together, which means we are still working according to the provided time. So I'm even hoping that maybe by in the next three lectures, we should be able to complete our target uh, topics. So I open the session for you. If there is any question or any contribution, thank you for listening. No question? So in the absence of question, I'll call it a day, and I will post the video on the channel, and you can always go and watch the lecture again for clarification. Somebody wants to say something? I heard a voice. Joshua, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Evening, how are you?
Fine, sir. I'm fine, sir. Thank you for today's lecture,
Yes.
sir.
You're welcome, Joshua.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to recap on the two major is it category of brainstorming. You mentioned generative ideas, and the second one I didn't get it.
What you are talking about techniques for what?
For brainstorming.
Okay. Let me just go back to that. So what is the question?
Yes, you mentioned the two major categories under brainstorming. You say one, it is generative ideas. Then the second one, I didn't get it.
Okay, I'm checking also. And I don't think they are categories actually. I think they are not categories, but rather they are phases. Okay, we said that the storming session have two phases. The first for generating ideas, and the second for reflecting upon the ideas. So you confuse me actually. It's not categories, but rather these are phases through which brainstorming is achieved. The first phase is that we sit, discuss the ideas, generate the ideas. In the second phase, we reflect on the ideas and choose the best ideas. So this is what this one is talking about. I hope that is understood now.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
And reflection involves discussing possible outcomes or possible solutions as provided in the first phase. That is one thing about reflection. Any other question? Why is our madam today? Is she around?
Yes, she's around, sir.
Any other question? Anybody? If there is no question, I'll call it a day. So let's call it a day. And I wish you all the best. So I've been asking for you now. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How is mommy, sir?
Good.
Madam,
how are the kids? How are the kids?
we are doing great, sir.
So madam is fine. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, next week, that is on Tuesday. So I wish you all the best until then. I will be looking at your assignments this weekend, and I'll get the marks ready so that you can have them as soon as possible. So thank you very much, and I hope you are preparing for your exams. I heard that the exams are around the corner. So I wish you a very good evening. Bye-bye.
No, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.